everyone, it's me, Nikki, again here from Nikki Hearts Cards, and I'm going to show you an eye crafter die called the Mom Teapot. Mainly what I'm going to do today is talk about adding some details to these flowers, but I do want to show you these products because it can make a really cute option for a Mother's Day card. I'm going to do multiple cards on this month, so come back if you like this die and want to see more. Make sure to notice this teapot is very large. It does not fit on an A2 if it's vertical. It fits if it's horizontal, so that'll make a difference in your card. Make sure if you hadn't done it yet that you hit the subscribe and like button. I'm going to use multiple colors of cardstock. A lot of times I like to distress ink or do something like that with my cardstock, but with this project I want to show you how to add to your project by doing some details on your colored cardstock. So the first thing I'm doing is getting the background. So you could just put this on a plain white background, but this spun sugar matches my cardstock really well. So I'm just going to lay down almost like a little ledge for this to sit on and just give it a little bit of color so it's not that stark white. Now, if you're using a Bristol smooth paper that's a good blending paper for this, you need to make sure you don't leave fingerprints. So I use a lot of times a Post-it note in the edge. If I ink over this, of course, it's going to make a line, but if I'm working on a different part of the card, it doesn't do anything. And I'm so bad about putting my fingerprints on there. Now, granted, you can go back and you can blend over fingerprints pretty well, but you need to hold on to your paper somewhere. So I usually move this little Post-it note around to get myself some color laid down. So here's what it looks like, just kind of an ombre look as it's a lot darker at the bottom and just a little on the top. I've already cut out my die cut pieces. So with the teapot, I'm not going to do any other detail adding to it besides just gluing it on the paper because I'm going to do most of my detail to the flowers and the little stems for the flowers. Tip number one when using colored cardstock. Most colored cardstock has a white interior. So take a Copic marker that matches your color and go around the edges. It just really makes it stand out from the paper and it doesn't take very long to do. You could do this same thing with pencils. You could do it with a lot of different options, but I just think it makes your die cut stand out on the paper better. Now with our little flower dies, I'm going to use Polychromos pencils. These are a colored pencil. I got these for Christmas and so I've been wanting to play with them. I have a lot of colors in my pack and this color just matched this cardstock so well that I decided I would just outline the areas that are already detailed based on the die. So it has a little embossed area in the middle and I'm going around the edge and adding some depth. This pencil is actually the same color as the cardstock, so I'm also going to use it on my edges where you can see the white core of this cardstock. Next, I'm going to take another die cut. This one has some little embossed dots, but nothing else. So I'm going through and just making some lines that, to me, look like the veining of a regular flower. So, you know, flowers have lines that go through them, and it's really kind of adds a little bit of detail. I did add some detail to each of those little popped up dots on the end, too, just to make them slightly darker. That's tip number 3. For your flowers is to add veining to your flowers. So on this one, it has these little embossed, really these are actually cut out, like you could poke out these raised parts. But with my die cutting, since this core of this paper is white, on some of this where it just pressed down a little too hard because I use the Gemini Junior, sometimes that happens, it actually shows some white in these areas and I wanted to keep these areas in here, so I'm using that coordinating color. It is a little darker, but I feel like the middle of the flower in this area looks good in this color and it kind of helps all of your colors coordinate. See how that one came out? Those will come out and I'll just put them back in. How that looks. I did glue on the back of this a coordinating flower just to make this one a little bit thicker. So we've got these two. I'm going to glue this part together and then I want to show you the leaves. So with leaves, I love to make veining on leaves, and I tried in a couple different colors. So on this darker leaf, I thought, well, let me see if I can make that veining lighter colored. And I can do that with some of my pencils. This is kind of a warm gray pencil, but I feel like it just doesn't look as realistic as adding darker tones. So even though the veins on some leaves are lighter, I think using a darker color makes it show up and just gives a bigger impact on these leaves. And this was the darkest color I had that match. I really think it makes much more of an impact on these light colored leaves. So if you want to do this on darker green, you may need to make sure you've got a darker pencil color, because it really does look better with the darker color. So I just go along these leaves and make my own little veining patterns that I want to do, and I think it just makes such a difference in this die cut. So y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Do you ever do this? And if so, do you think it's worth it and looks better on yours? I think it does, but I would love to hear your thoughts. You can see on this leaf that since it is close to the same color of what I'm using here, it's not as obvious on this set of leaves, but it still looks really good on these kinds of leaves. So I did it with this color because that's the only one I had. If I had a darker one, I would suggest using a darker one, but I really like how this turned out. Here's one more look at those leaves and kind of a comparison of the dark ones versus the lighter cardstock colors that I used. So I really liked how these turned out. Let's put this card together. So I arranged my flowers and my leaves. I also cut out the Love You. That doesn't come with this set. That comes with the Pegboard Shelfie set. And so it's got some good sayings. And then I've got these tailored expressions, gold embellishments. I love that we've got all these different sizes, but it matches the cardstock that I'm using, this gold cardstock, really nicely, and just kind of pulls the card together. So I'm going to put some embellishments on the center of the flowers, and I'm going to glue on the words so you can see how this card turns out. I have one last tip for you. When you're using metallic paper and you're using liquid glue, sometimes you will get some liquid glue on the front of your letters. So I use a very slightly damp Q-tip on one end, the other end is dry, and I go over and I rub that glue off of these letters, and it does such a great job. It's really easy to do, and it helps you not worry so much about using that liquid glue on your letters. I hope that you learned lots of tips for creating some more dimension on your flowers with just some simple colored pencils. So drag those colored pencils out and try them out. I'd love to see what you create. Make sure you let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you are going shopping today, please go through the links in my description. Those will help support me, and they do not cost you anything. So I would appreciate that so much. It was great being with you guys again. I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.